Alright, so this video that I'm making today is really not much of a video because I'm not going to be doing anything or demonstrating anything. It's more or less just talking about some upcoming vids I want to make, and also talking about my system here. So my previous video, if you exclude my rant about my piece of crap John Deere tractor, the previous audio related video that I made was about the A1000, and I really love that amp, and between the A1000 and the AS1100 that you're looking at right here, those are my two favorites. But when I substituted the A1000, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So all throughout my audio hobby career, let's say, I've purchased and sold and purchased and sold to keep moving things, so I could, I always like something new. I say new, it could be used, but something different. I get restless. I enjoy things, but I want to try something different, and there's always that thrill of something different and new and that sort of thing, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced the same kind of thing. So I've rotated tremendous amounts of gear in and out. I'm not really much of a collector. I don't keep many things at all. I just like, buy, sell, new. Although I'm trying to settle in on a system that I can live with for a long time. I'm trying to, I'm trying to save money for retirement, get to that point where I'm not a young dude, and I'm trying to save for retirement and trying to trim here and there where I can. So can't really spend the money that I used to spend on audio equipment, although I did dump a lot into this current system right here, but that's sort of coming to an end. So I'm trying to find something I can live with for a long time, and I think I found it. And so what was I talking about? Oh, the A1000. So anyway, it's such a pain in the ass to sub in amps and go through all the connections, and this thing's a monster heavy right here, the AS1100. But anyway, so I took the AS1100 out to sub in the A1000 to listen to it, with the new power cord, and just to listen to it again. After having listened to the AS1100 for over a month, I think, in the system. And I put the A1000 back in and gave it a listen. And because I had the AS1100 on my mind, I had its characteristics, its sound on my mind. Oh, my camcorder! Oh, my camera is beeping at me. The battery's gonna die. Crumb. I'm gonna go ahead and hit pause. My apologies. This is my unprofessionalism, but I'm gonna hit pause here and get a power cord and be back. So sorry for the weird cut here. All right, so I had to go in my workshop and plug it in. It's a little tiny charging cord that came with it, so that's why I've changed locations. Didn't feel like getting an extension cord. I had to go sit back in the music room. But anyway, so where was I? So what I realized when I started listening to the A1000 is it suddenly hit me as to how much I preferred the AS1100 over it. Now the A1000 is awesome, but in comparison, it suddenly hit me that the A1000 did sound a bit grainy, if that's a proper word. The vocals, and especially in the vocal areas, and it just seemed a bit grainy, and maybe it's just perhaps it's because I'm so accustomed to the AS1100 and its tonal neutrality, and it is the tonal neutrality king. But the AS1100 is so full-bodied, and it's just got it all, but it's tonally neutral, and it hit me that the A1000 may be a bit bright. It's kind of like, and again, I'm not trying to say the A1000 is a bad amp, it's an awesome amp, but in comparison, it's kind of like having that dessert that may be a little bit too sweet. It is possible for something to be overly sweet, taste-wise, as well as sound-wise. And so that graininess and that over-sweetness, I guess I'd become so accustomed to the 1100 that I wanted it back. So after I did the A1000 video, I'd planned to have that amp in my system for quite a while, but I just wanted to go back to the the AS1100, and that's what I did, and that's why I was sitting in front of it a couple seconds ago, with the A1000 not there. So I've made the determination. This is something I guess a lot of you guys go through too when you rotate gear, or when you buy new things, and you know, some things have to stay, some have to go. So I've made the determination, in order to purchase some new equipment for a couple more upcoming videos that I want to talk about. I've got to purchase some goods, some supplies, some equipment that the A1000 is going to have to go. And I made that video about the R9. I hope I got that right. The R9 receiver that I bought that also had the Auto Class A. Well, that R9, I never really wrapped up that video. That R9 was not even close. Not even close to the A1000 or the AS1100. It was Yamaha. It was, you know, it's got their Auto Class A mode, but it was just not there, sound wise. I didn't even want to listen to a full song through it. You know, having experienced the AS1100 and the A1000, I didn't like it one iota. So that's got to go too. And so far my system is solidified into the AS1100 Yamaha, and my clips awesome. Zero regrets purchase of the Forte 3s. And I don't know if you noticed, if you didn't, go back and watch, when I started this video sitting in front of the system, I did purchase a Furman power conditioner, just a glorified power strip. I wanted to get a little more protection for my investment, and a little more filtering, electromagnetic RF type filtering, which the Furman offers, especially for my the DAC, the TAC, digital to analog converter. I don't expect that to make a difference in sound, but I just wanted that extra protection, so I went ahead and purchased that. I've been using traditional power strips for years. Good quality ones, but just the regular power strips. Plus, I thought it was cool that Furman has a voltage readout that tells you the RMS voltage of what the power company is currently supplying, and I find it interesting to watch it on different times of the day and see it go up or down depending on the loads on the system. So anyway, that's solidified into my system. But so this segues into the upcoming videos that I want to make, and it's like anything. It's always been this way. I'll make a video about something, and then that'll lead to something else that I get interested in. You guys are probably the same way, but something else that popped up that I get interested in, or some other little thing I get, you know, and one thing leads to another, and you know, I'm making a video about something I hadn't intended to. But so based on my experience over the last few vids, I want to make a video about, number one, XLR cables, or balanced audio cables. And I want to cover what their benefits are and what their benefits are not. And I actually want to do a little experiment with that one, and build a couple of op amps, a couple of operational amplifiers just for the experiment, and put a couple cables side by side and take some measurements for noise and see how well the XLR cancels noise compared with the standard standard RCA type cable connector combo, and get into some theory about get into some design aspects about XLRs. When I say XLR, that's the balanced. There are various kinds of balanced cables you can buy, but XLR is the type of connectors that they use traditionally in high-end audio. So that's one video I want to make, and the other, and there was three of them. I'm going to forget one right now in the back of my mind, but the other I want to do is one annoyance that's crept up, and this gets back to when I was, it's back to all the videos I've ever made where I've tried to give you samples of sound quality through speakers, and there's always been just a tremendous annoyance that I can't you know, I hear such distinct differences between components when they're subbed in. You know, this gets back to my DAC videos and back to the different Yamaha amp videos, and when I make the videos, even when I use my better microphones, you know, when I go back and listen on YouTube, and the distinctions, the massive distinctions that I hear are not there. And not only that, but the sound of, like, for example, when I did the Forte 3 reviews, the sound of the speakers is just not representative of what I'm hearing. I realize you can't, you know, unless you're in the room, you don't get the full experience, but what I'm hearing from my mics is not even close to what these components or these speakers sound like. And I think there's got to be a way to do better. There's got to be a better way to mic and record speakers and audio equipment for video, for reviews. I'm not a professional sound engineer. I mean, so I don't know. This is all new territory for me. You know, my background is electrical engineering, but I never was much into sound engineering type things or acoustics, and I don't know what I'm doing. But that's why one thing leads to another. I want to experiment and learn. I find this stuff fascinating, but I'm going to have to invest in. Well, let me tell you what I'm going to do on that one. It's going to take a little money, which is why I'm going to sell some equipment. So I've got some theories as to why I can't mic speakers very well. Why I mean, I want to do a lot better. I realize you can't even come close to perfection. You can't come close to hearing what you'd hear sitting in the room, but I know I can do a lot better. And because I think I know the sources of that hollow sound. And the two biggest things, I think, are, well, number one is self-evident, is microphone quality, and microphone type. And so I need a full frequency response, high quality microphone, stereo microphone, or microphones, plural. They need to be directional. They can't be omnidirectional. They need to be directional, cardioid type microphones that do not pick up sounds coming from the sides and the rear, because a lot of what makes videos of people making videos of their own speakers and that sort of thing on YouTube is these microphones are picking up an inordinate amount of reflected energy from the room, and it's blurring everything and mixing, it's out of phase, it's mixing things in a way that is unnatural. It's not what the human ear is hearing. And so I need to get some directional high quality microphones, and I need some acoustic damping material as well, to eradicate some of the side and the rear reflections. And I think I want to try to toy around with that. I'm just fascinated by that to see how much better I can do. So that's another video coming up, and if I come up with any good findings, maybe suggestions, things that folks would find useful in making their own recordings, well, that's why I do this. So those are the two. There was a third topic. Gosh, I just can't remember now. It'll come to me later. There's a third topic I want to make a video on. XLR balanced audio is one. Miking speakers to make them sound good on video, that's two. See, I'm trying to go down the list and see if it jogs my memory, and nope. Well, anyway, those are the two forthcoming videos anyway. It's going to take a little time to make those. I got to plan some things and purchase a couple things, but anyway, to summarize, and I'm just rambling on here about various things, but to summarize, yeah, my system is pretty fixed right now. I love the AS1100. I know I've said it a million times. The combination with the Forte 3s is just superb. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, one last thing. Maybe this is what I wanted to make the video. Oh yeah, okay. So the third video I wanted to cover was about bi-wiring speakers. I've been experimenting with my own Eclipse Forte 3s. I've been experimenting with bi-wiring, and I wish I could take this off the tripod now, but the battery's dead. But so my brother-in-law had given me these bi-wire MIT, I think it's called MIT speaker cables, high quality stuff, you know, good speaker cables. And so I decided to remove the cables that I made, my big massive, you know, low damping factor specials, just for fun. And I bi-wired with those MIT cables, which I could show you right now. I bi-wired the Forte 3s, and basically bi-wiring, if you don't know, it's just you're coming out of your amplifier from a single pair, you know, left a positive and negative for right, but immediately thereafter the cable splits into two, and one pair goes to your tweeters and one pair goes to your woofers, and you remove this plate between the speaker lugs on the back of the speaker so that the woofers and tweeters have separate inputs. And you know, there's still a crossover network in there, but it's no longer connected at the speaker. So that's bi-wiring. And anyway, I did that, and I noticed a lack of bass compared to my previous setup. You know, there was a lack of bass energy, and to me it was significant. And I never was a big fan or a big believer in speaker cables making much of a difference. I mostly think it's BS, as long as you have a large enough gauge, large enough diameter wire, low enough gauge. But I noticed a difference, and I couldn't tell why. And I also noticed my speaker sounded a little, I thought the speaker, or the system I should say, sounded a little bit brighter. Maybe that was because of the lack of bass. So what I did is I kept the MITs just for the treble, and I plugged my the speaker custom cables that I made, the low damping factor, lowest resistance speakers in the neighborhood, speaker wires in the neighborhood, my custom ones, and I plugged those into the bass channel. So I'm still bi-wiring, except I'm using the MITs for the treble, for the tweeters and mids, and my own custom cables for the bass. And lo and behold, the bass became fuller and richer, and it came back to what I was used to. So somehow, some way, my larger gauge, lower gauge custom speaker wire seemed to make a difference in the bass. Now I don't know if I don't think it was psychological, because I wasn't expecting it to happen. When I subbed those MIT cables in and turned it on, I expected everything to be the same, and boom, I noticed an absence of bass relative to my previous cables, and it blew my mind. Because I'm not a believer, and because I wasn't expecting anything to happen and it did, that tells me a lot. That tells me there's something going on. And then when I subbed back in, you know, again, my custom cables for the bass, the bass came back. So I'm at a loss to explain it. I mean, you could easily explain it. My own custom cables are a much lower gauge, much lower resistance, and we talked about in my previous videos it affecting the damping factor, but I didn't think it would be noticeable. Not with my length of cable, and I just couldn't fathom it would be noticeable, but it seemed to be. So now all of a sudden I'm maybe something of a believer in speaker wire making a difference, but I'd like to explain it a little more scientifically. But anyway, so I'm going to do a video about bi-wiring. I'm going to do some research about it and see what other folks have to say, and see if there's any, scientific rationale for bi-wiring, or I'm mixing two topics here. I'm mixing speaker cable gauges with bi-wiring. Let me get back to bi-wiring. I'm just rambling on. I want to see if there's any scientific rationale for bi-wiring as being advantageous. And so I want to cover what it means, what it is, what's actually going on, how it's changing the circuitry between the output of your amp and the crossover networks and the speakers, and to see if there's any reason why there would be a benefit. So that's the third video I want to make. And again, these are all just things that cropped up along the way making other videos, and I thought they'd be interesting. Alright, well, that's about all I want to say today. Sorry it wasn't an exciting video. I'm just talking about the future and the present, and for those of you who saw the video I posted in between this one about my John Deere tractor that I'm pissed off about, I apologize. I have to, you know, I only have one YouTube channel. If I'm going to make a video about some other entirely unrelated topic, it's going to have to be on my same channel. So, I'm pretty pissed off about that, and I still am. Anytime you drop, well, I don't know, let me get ramble on about that again. It's got nothing to do with anything. Okay. Alright, well, look, thanks for watching, and I hope that you join me for the upcoming videos I'm going to make. I'm going to kind of put some time into them and try to make them interesting, and maybe even try to improve on my quality a little bit here, but you know, I get pretty busy with my career, so it's hard to put a lot of time into this stuff. A lot of these videos I make are just spontaneous. When I have the time and even the energy to do it. Sometimes, some days I just don't feel like even talking. I just feel like doing things, but at any rate, thanks for watching, and I look forward to your comments and maybe even suggestions for other videos in the future that would be useful and helpful. Answering questions, things like that, about topics related to audio. And thanks for all of the folks who subscribe to me. When I started making these videos, I had about 5 people that subscribed, and I didn't even quite know what a subscriber was way back in the day. And recently I noticed I have over 1,000 subscribers. I realize that's not many compared to many folks on YouTube, but it's a lot to me. It means a lot to me that folks appreciate what I do. It really does, and so thank you. And I look forward to talking to you guys in the future. Ciao.